Picture yourself in London during the summer of 1858. You step outside, and the stench hits you like a wall. The Thames River flows thick and dark brown, more like raw sewage than water. The air is saturated with the smell of human filth, causing members of Parliament to struggle to function. They press handkerchiefs soaked in lime against their noses, desperate to block out the odor. Some abandon their posts entirely. This isn't an isolated incident. This is the great stink of 1858. A crisis born from. Now imagine a world stripped of toilets. No flush mechanisms, no underground pipes, no privacy. Just you facing the daily challenge of dealing with waste. For thousands of years, humanity grappled with this exact problem. The solutions we created tell a story far stranger, more dramatic, and importantly, more significant than you might think. This is Hidden History, diving deep into the saga of how civilization learned to manage its mess. This is the complete. Throughout most of recorded history, people relieved themselves wherever they found space. A ditch beside the road, the nearest river, even the street itself. In medieval European cities, the situation was particularly grim. Residents emptied their chamber pots straight out of windows onto the streets below. A warning would echo through the air, "Garde à l'eau," a French phrase meaning "watch out for the water." Some historical linguists suggest this phrase evolved into the British slang, loo, their word for toilet. Imagine that. The word for toilet derived from a warning that waste was about to rain down on you. The stench in these cities was relentless. Disease swept through populations in devastating waves. Yet remarkably, nobody connected the dots. They didn't understand, but here's a little-known fact. The toilet is an ancient invention, far older than most would guess. We must go back about 5,000 years to around 3000 BC to a remote settlement called Skara Brae on the Orkney Islands of Scotland. Neolithic people built something extraordinary. Inside their stone dwellings, they constructed small drainage channels integrated directly into the walls. This was indoor plumbing in the Stone Age, but the Scots weren't alone in this innovation. About 500 years later, the Indus Valley civilization, in what is now modern Pakistan, achieved something even more remarkable. The city of Mohenjo-Daro had toilets installed in almost every home, connected to an elaborate city-wide drainage network. Covered sewers ran beneath the streets, carrying waste away from residential. Think about that. The people of the Indus Valley had working sanitation systems 4,500 years ago. Most of Europe wouldn't see anything comparable for another 4 millennia. They were 4,000 years ahead of Western civilization in bathroom technology. Meanwhile, on the Mediterranean island of Crete, the Minoan civilization was also pioneering its own innovations. Around 1700 BC, they constructed some of the world's first flushing. They utilized water stored in cisterns, flowing through elaborate clay pipe systems to wash waste away. The engineering was sophisticated, the design elegant. Then came the Romans, who took public sanitation to unprecedented levels. They built massive public latrines throughout their empire, long stone benches with holes carved out, no partitions, no privacy walls, nothing separating you from the person next to you. Romans sat shoulder to shoulder, conducting conversations while doing their business. These public latrines became social centers. Business deals were negotiated, political discussions unfolded, friendships formed. It was a place to do business. When finished, there was no toilet paper waiting. Instead, Romans used a tersarium, a sea sponge attached to a wooden stick. This sponge was dipped in vinegar or salt water to clean it between uses. Here's the disturbing part. That same sponge was shared among everyone. Yes, you heard that right, a communal sponge. Multiple strangers, one sponge. Let that image settle in your mind. Yet, despite this, the Romans genuinely believed they were the pinnacle of civilization. They had aqueducts bringing fresh water into cities, elaborate bathhouses, and sophisticated sewer systems. But then the Roman Empire collapsed, and with it, so did virtually all of this infrastructure. For roughly 1,000 years, medieval Europe forgot everything the Romans had learned about sanitation. Castles featured guardrobes, stone seats built into outer walls with holes that dropped waste directly down. Sometimes it fell into the moat surrounding the castle, making those moats absolutely disgusting. Other times, it piled up on the ground outside the castle walls. Urban areas fared even worse. London streets functioned as open sewers, every kind of refuse imaginable ending up. The River Thames became a dumping ground for everything: waste from butcher shops, toxic runoff from tanneries, and vast amounts of human sewage. People drew their drinking water from the same river they used as a toilet. Oblivious to the connection, cholera struck in devastating waves. Dysentery killed thousands. Typhoid fever ravaged communities. These weren't mysterious plagues. They were direct consequences of for centuries. People blamed something entirely different. They believed in the theory of miasma, the idea that bad air caused disease. They carried flowers to mask foul odors and burned incense in their homes. They did everything imaginable except address the real problem. The first genuine flush toilet didn't spring from a brilliant engineer, but from an unlikely source, a poet. In 1596, Sir John Harington, a writer and the godson of Queen Elizabeth I, designed an innovative device he called the Ajax. His creation featured a raised water tank and a hand-operated valve. Needing about 75 gallons of water to flush waste, Harington built one at his country estate near Bath, installing a special one for Queen Elizabeth when she visited. Historical records suggest she used it and was impressed. Yet, despite this royal endorsement, the toilet failed to gain traction. It was expensive to construct, noisy when flushing, and Harington had made numerous enemies at court through his sharp wit, and many dismissed his invention as an elaborate joke. So, the flush toilet was invented in 1596, received royal approval, and was then forgotten for nearly 2 centuries. It wouldn't be until the 1800s that flush toilets began to emerge as a common fixture. By the 1850s, London had transformed into a massive, yet it still lacked a functioning sewer system. Every drop of waste drained directly into the Thames, which had become black and thick with pollution. Then came the summer of 1858, accompanied by a brutal heat wave. The high temperatures made the stench unbearable, rendering Parliament incapable of functioning. Lawmakers hung curtains soaked in lime. Parliamentary sessions had to be cut short, and some members fled the building entirely, unable to endure the conditions. This event became known as the Great Stink, finally forcing the government to take serious action. They commissioned an engineer named Joseph Bazalgette to design. The project was massive in scope, involving over 1,100 miles of local street sewers, feeding into 82 miles of main intercepting sewers. The construction took years, costing millions of pounds. When it was finally completed, it transformed London from one of the most disease-ridden cities into one of the cleanest and most livable. Cholera cases plummeted, life expectancy rose. However, the toilet itself still needed one more crucial innovation. Here's a truth that might surprise you. Thomas Crapper did not invent. This is one of history's most persistent and widespread myths. Thomas Crapper did not invent the toilet, he made it popular and accessible. A skilled plumber in Victorian London, Crapper owned a company that manufactured toilet systems. Over his career, he secured 9 patents, including vital improvements to the ballcock mechanism that controls water flow and flushing. His company's name, T. Crapper and Company. During World War I, American soldiers stationed in England encountered Crapper's name on nearly every toilet they used. They began calling the toilet a crapper. This term evolved into slang, becoming both a noun for the toilet and a verb for the act itself. The name stuck, spreading throughout American culture. Yet the true unsung hero of toilet innovation remains Alexander Cumming. In 1775, long before Crapper's fame, Cumming patented the crucial S-shaped pipe. This S-strap design creates a water seal, preventing sewer gases from rising into homes. It is the reason bathrooms don't smell like sewers. Yet, few know Alexander Cumming's name or the recognition he deserves. Modern toilets represent centuries of engineering innovation, trial and error, and gradual improvement. Today's designs emphasize in some East Asian countries, toilets have transformed into high-tech marvels, featuring heated seats, built-in bidets, automatic flushing, and air drying systems. But toilets signify more than plumbing technology. They reflect society's attention to sanitation infrastructure. The statistics are staggering. Improved sanitation reduces cholera infections by about 70%, not through vaccines or Medicaid. The toilet didn't just change daily life, it determined life and death. In cities lacking proper sanitation, infant mortality rates soared. Women faced shocking death rates in childbirth, primarily due to infections, diseases that are now rare in developed nations, once meant certain death. Even today, around 2 billion people worldwide lack basic sanitation facilities. The diseases that plagued medieval London now still afflict many, stemming from inadequate toilets. From the ancient drainage systems of Skara, Bray to the public latrines of Rome, the great stink of London, and today's smart toilets with digital interfaces, the evolution of the toilet tells a larger narrative of human innovation, public health, and our endless pursuit of cleanliness. What began as a basic biological necessity has evolved into a cornerstone of modern civilization. The toilet stands as the quiet, unsung hero of public health. Access to a toilet is not merely a luxury, it is a fundamental requirement for human survival. And with this in mind, reflect on the hidden histories around you. They're everywhere, waiting to be unveiled.